Hey guys, and welcome to today's First Impressions video, the video game series in which we take a look at a recently released game and I give you my first thoughts and impressions on it. Today we're looking at LumenCraft, which is a RTS style tower defense game. The idea is that you mine materials, you craft things, and then you have to defeat a wave of enemies. The more waves you defeat, the higher your score, etc, etc. It seems okay, but a lot of it seems quite finicky, and that is an issue. Namely, the mouse doesn't really seem to be very reactive, and I would very much recommend using a controller for this game. As always, we will look at the options first, and then once we've looked at the options, we'll go into the game, and I'll give you my first thoughts and impressions. So, let's not waste any more time, let's jump straight into it, and see what this is all about, shall we? Options then, and we have a couple of things to talk about straight away. The game does have mouse and keyboard support. However, in the options, you don't actually get a cursor. Sometimes you do, sometimes it disappears. It's got some weird like mouse lag between where you select or where you put the mouse and where the options actually then are selectable. And it makes everything a little bit difficult. So if you have a controller, I would very highly recommend using a controller with this game, just to prevent any sort of major frustration. Outside of that, the options that you actually get for gameplay and accessibility are pretty damn good. You've got your language, autosave, enemy health, damage numbers, low health, vibrations, alternate movement, control tooltips, and cursor scale. If they do improve the mouse and keyboard support upon full release, because this game is in early access, it would be also nice if they were maybe to add a mouse sensitivity button to help with this weird lag that you sort of get when you are trying to select each option using the mouse. Your display and audio options, there's not really a lot to speak about here. It is a top-down 2D graphic style game. Reminds me a lot of the early Grand Theft Autos, for example. So it's not really going to be taxing your system, and as a result, there isn't really a lot of options here. What you do get is your full screen on or off, window resolution, VSync on or off, and limit FPS on or off or not. It is also worth noting that with the sounds and the music, you're going to want to turn those down. It does start at full blast, and it is incredibly loud in your ear holes. The sound effects are pretty good, but again, they are incredibly loud. And it would be nice if on full release they set the volume a little bit lower by default. Lastly, you can change your controls. It does this weird thing with the keyboard where it keeps flashing between keyboard and controller control tooltips. It gets a little bit annoying, but once you figure everything out, you kind of block that out anyway. There is a lot of controls here. Honestly, you're not really going to be using a lot of them, so it's not really an issue, but it is nice that you can rebind them. An option that I would like to see here is maybe switching between keyboard and controller to see what all the controller buttons are as well, but this is what we've been given so far, and again, by the time of full release, hopefully this will have all changed. So there's your options. Let's look what the game actually plays like, the difficulty spikes, and the pros and cons of what I've found so far. Alright, so we are in the zone, we're in the area, we're in a cave. As you can see, we've got a reactor, and in true RTS style, you have to discover the map as you go along. You are given a drill, and you are given some dynamite, and that really is it. You've got a number of resources that you are required to acquire in order to craft and really build up your base and stop the wave from coming. In the bottom of the screen, you can see that the wave starts in 26 minutes. You can speed that up once you've got everything prepared, but honestly, you're going to need all 26 minutes to really get everything going. The first issue I've got is that the drill that it gives you first before you're able to upgrade and stuff is incredibly slow, and it feels just not very fun to use. You kind of going for these small veins of the lumen and the metal and the rock and stuff, and until you're able to upgrade, it takes a fair while to get through. You've also got an issue where, well, not really an issue, but a mechanic in the game where when you go through certain veins, of metal or lumen or whatever, you can actually come across a small patch of enemies that you then have to destroy. If you don't have a pistol already, or if you haven't got your turrets up and running, you're going to be in for a really bad time. The pistol so far that I've used is incredibly slow to fire, and I don't know whether you can get better weapons as you go along, like an automatic rifle or a big shotgun or something, but the pistol is incredibly underwhelming, and using a controller it's actually very difficult to aim with. Your best bet, if you do come across an enemy, is to just bail it to a turret and let the turrets deal with them. I also haven't found any way of healing myself yet either. During the tutorial it basically teaches you all the basics, but I haven't found a med kit or any way to access said med kit and stuff like that, which can be a little bit daunting when you know that you've only got limited health. The other things that you can do are you can make a miner so that you can constantly get a decent amount of metal, but you do have to physically go back and access that. You've got to physically walk over it in order to get the metal that you are trying to mine. So even though you've got an automatic miner, it's not automatic at all, and again takes time up that you will need, and you will need a lot of the resources in order to make what you want to make. The worlds seem, or the areas seem pretty damn cool. They seem fairly large, with lots of resources to find and lots of things to discover, but the game for the tutorial doesn't really teach you much. It doesn't give you a lot to work with. So you've got your build menu here, and again, using a controller, this is really quite finicky. You've got to use your right thumbstick and then B to select your next option, and then you've got to actually place the thing down as well. So we are going to want a health center, which I'm assuming I need it. So it tells you your resources at the bottom. So I need to get 100 to get the health center, and a small lighthouse. Let's build the small lighthouse. Doesn't say there. We'll put the lighthouse there, look, and a drone will come in and build the item there, which will enable you to see what's coming from a distance. You've then got your defensive structures, so you've got like your stand, you've got your sniper turret, you've got your machine gun turret, which honestly you're going to want to use a lot of to stop the enemies from coming in at you. And again, this is why you mine. So you're going to spend a lot of this half an hour mining out stuff to then build more things to make it so that it is usable. You only get a drill, a pistol workshop, a spear workshop, an explosive workshop, or a utility workshop. So it doesn't look like you get anything outside of the pistol. You can upgrade each of these items to make them a bit stronger, a bit faster, but honestly, only having a pistol is more than a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. The ones that you're going to want most, I think, are your defensive upgrades. They're going to keep you alive, I feel, more than anything else in the game thus far. But again, the actual making things and upgrading them and stuff takes so long that I don't know if it's going to be worth doing later on down the line. The animations for everything are pretty cool, but it feels like this game is still missing a lot. It feels like everything is 1 or 2 clicks too much. Instead of having this menu here, why not just have it all on the reactor? Like they've got these buttons here. There's plenty of room in other areas around here to just have all of your crafting options and make this like a central hub, as opposed to having to go to this menu, use your right stick, select the right one, and then select the item that you want from there in order to be able to build it. It feels a bit too finicky, especially since the mouse and the keyboard aren't really well optimized for the game, which is a bit odd. Overall, it's not terrible. If you like a tower defense, if you like the idea of going out and farming all the materials in order to make the defense how you want, I think it's pretty good. The fact that you've got the unease of maybe running into an enemy a bit earlier than expected is quite cool, but I just feel it needs a bit more. It needs a bit more versatility, it needs a bit more accessibility, it needs a bit more on the control side of things, and it definitely needs more weapons and defense upgrades to really give you a feel that you can actually defend against these creatures. But there you are, guys. This is LumenCraft. It came out earlier this month in early access, so there's still plenty of time for it to change. Let me know in those comments down below what you think, and I shall see you all next time. Thank you very much for watching. Ciao, ciao.